This week on Way of the Master.
I grew up being raised by a mom who was a drug addict my entire life. She was addicted to drugs and struggled through alcoholism all growing up. I was told that my biological father left 2 weeks before my first birthday, and the only two stories that I ever heard from him were that he was a drinker and that he got into bar fights. My childhood, my stepdads were not fantastic. I had stepdads that were sexually abusive, physically, verbally abusive, guys that were in gangs, and my mom, kicked me out. My mom and one of my stepdads kicked me out when I was 13 years old, so I was off on my own at that point, sleeping on couches and trying to figure it out. By the time I was 16, I was putting myself through high school and renting out a room from a guy who was a hoarder because you can't get an apartment at 16 years old. Wow. It was not the ideal childhood growing up.
I dropped out of school. I don't have my dad.
Do you ever think about suicide?
Yeah. I tried it before.
What did you do?
I took pills. I tried to shoot myself, and I tried to hang myself.
At 3 different occasions?
6 different occasions.
So, what's causing this?
I don't know. I think too much. When I'm out with people, then I don't mind it. I don't really.
I want you to be real honest with me. What do you think about? What is making you want to commit suicide?
Those things, honestly.
Are you afraid of dying?
Not really.
Pretty quick to answer that. Let me ask again. Are you afraid of death? Does death haunt you?
No, not at all. It doesn't bother me.
Do you ever think about your own death?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Does that make you depressed?
No. It gives me, honestly, satisfaction sometimes.
Okay, so when you're depressed, think about death and you'll cheer up. Is that what you're
That's why I attempted, honestly.
So what happened when you try to hang yourself?
I guess I didn't tight enough. I don't know. I know what I was doing. It was my first time trying it.
Did someone find you? Did you kick the chair or what?
No, I ended up in the ground. I just ended up in the ground crying.
And what did you do the other times?
Mostly just pop pills. And I tried to shoot myself once.
Try to shoot yourself? What happened?
The gun wouldn't go off. The safety was off and everything, but the gun wouldn't go off.
What's your attitude toward your father?
He's an I don't like him.
Why don't you like him?
Because he left.
Do you think that could be the root of your depression?
Most likely. I have a lot of hate towards him. I don't hate a lot of people, but I hate him.
So what's that doing to him?
I don't know. Nothing, probably.
It's doing nothing, but it's killing you.
Yeah, true.
Do you believe in God's existence?
Yeah, I do.
So what does he think of you? What do you think he thinks of your suicide attempts?
I don't know. I honestly don't.
Fathers are given to us to be a signpost, a reflection of a true and perfect and beautiful Father in heaven. And so that pain and that suffering that many are experiencing from abandonment is because those dads, those earthly fathers, did not live up to what God ordained them to be. And then they take that and interject that into their relationship with God the Father in heaven.
Adam was the original prodigal. He rejected his father. God fathered him, and he turned his back on his father and served sin. And that's the pattern throughout the human race. And we have pain and suffering, which is the tragic result or the fruit of rebellion against God.
Wow. All right, Oscar, so let's pick it up from there. We talked about kind of the past, how you grew up, your perception of your dad. So recently you did meet your dad.
Yeah.
Tell me how that came about. Did you go looking for him? Did he go looking for you?
Yeah, so honestly, I got to give my wife all the credit for this. We've been married 8 years now, and over the last several years, she would be so curious about why I never tried looking for him. And so one day I was talking to my pastor, and I told him, I have nothing to gain from finding this man. I have my Father in heaven. I don't feel like I have this dad-shaped hole in my life. I don't have any resentment towards this person I've never met. And he pointed out to me, what if this man, your biological father, is walking around with guilt and shame for not being in your life?
Wow.
And what if you meeting him and pointing to the cross and proclaiming the gospel could be life-giving, soul-nourishing for him, that he would be able to come to a saving faith? So I kind of realized I've been looking at this whole I have no reason to meet my dad in a me-centered way, when I should be looking at it as what could the Lord do with a meeting like this? So that was really the motivation for meeting him. I went online and found him pretty quickly, called him on a Wednesday, and got a phone call back Thursday morning, and we met Friday, 24 hours later.
You and I were on the phone when he called you on the
That's
other
right,
line.
we were.
And you go, oh, it's my dad calling.
Yeah, that's right. Because I
saved.
saved the number as possibly, his name's Oscar as well.
Wow.
So possibly Oscar. So you and I are on the phone talking about work stuff, and I get a phone call.
So was that emotional for you? I mean, did you have to step back and just kind of gather your thoughts? I mean, he's gone for your whole life,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, now you're going to have an encounter with him.
It wasn't emotional until after I met him, because I went into the meeting thinking this guy's a drunk and an alcoholic, and it's truly me proclaiming the gospel to a stranger.
Right.
Not much different than me proclaiming the gospel to any random person out on the street. But our meeting and what he told me about kind of his story in life changed quite a bit of that.
Wow.
TV and streaming listings available at wayofthemaster.com.